Greetings, humans. I am Optimus Prime, the leader of the Autobots. And today I'm going to narrate over Marshall Tucker's Blobitecture architecture style analysis presentation. This presentation will give you lots of knowledge on Blobitecture, a very interesting futuristic style of architecture the world has never seen before. So what is Blobitecture? Blobitecture is a modern architectural style, also called blobism or blobismus. These buildings are meant to have an organic round shape to them, giving them a unique design unmatched by any other architecture style. Blobitecture is a worldwide style that's used everywhere around the world, from Western Europe to West Africa to America and African. It is mostly found in urban areas where culture and art is valued. Blobitecture was first implemented using computer softwares, and since has relied on computer softwares to be designed, built, and continued throughout history so far. Blobitecture is a very modern form of blob-like architecture, and many of these buildings are newer than most buildings. However, there are some older Blobitecture-like buildings, originally referred to as blob architecture, organic style. Blob-like buildings finally got a name when it was first introduced as blob architecture in the late 1900s by architect Greg Lynn. Many buildings before 1995 had blob-like features and featured organic-looking shape. They implemented a lot of the same building designs and materials throughout their designs. Many buildings that were under this category were ultimately moved to Blobitecture and referred to as Blobitecture when the term came out in 2002 in a New York Times magazine. Here's some examples of buildings made before 1995 that have blob-like features to them. Later on, blob architecture buildings eventually morphed to being referred to as Blobitecture. This is an example of a computer used in 1995 in which they would use CAD softwares to design on.
Bruh.
Blobitecture belongs to a genre of architecture known as deconstructivism. This means this architecture style does not follow traditional architecture conventions like symmetry and uniformity. It does have its own conventions though, like fragmentation, fluidity, and unpredictability. Blobitecture also shows parametric design, which relies heavily on CAD softwares to create complex designs. Like I've stated before, Blobitecture heavily relies on computer design softwares to build and design. In New York State, there is very limited examples of Blobitecture, but there are very few that may have or have a few resemblances of Blobitecture. This building is located in New York City, and it was built by designer Frank Gehry and completed in 1995. This building has a glass facade, giving the building a blob-like appearance. It's a 10-story tall structure and is over 140 feet tall. This building is one of only a few examples of Blobitecture here in New York State. Designed again by Frank Gehry, this amazing work of art is a museum that features freeform-like style, giving it a blob-like appearance. It was founded by Microsoft's co-founder Paul Allen in 2000, originally named as the Experience Music Project. Within the building contains multiple astonishing things, like one of the biggest indoor LED screens in the world, If V, I Was I, X, the guitar statue, and multiple other music-related artifacts and activities. It also contains the Science Fiction and Fantasy Hall of Fame inside of it. An international example of Blobitecture, my personal favorite, is Red Bull Hangar 7. This building holds many aircraft and is home to the Flying Bulls Aerosports team. This hangar, made up of 1,200 tons of steel and 7,000 square meters of glass, is massive and architectural masterpiece. Developed by Red Bull founder Dietrich Mateschitz and designed by Volkamar Bergstaller, this Blobitecture building is made up of many car. It contains a museum, an airplane hangar, an art gallery, and a restaurant. It was built from 1999 to 2003. The reason for this hangar being such a weird shape is because the designers and developer wanted something not only futuristic looking, but something that resembled a piece of art, something more than just a generic hangar, which I think is super cool. The Kunsthaus, also known as the Friendly Alien, is the most famous and iconic Blobitecture building in the world. The building is an art museum located in Graz, Austria. It was designed by Colin Fournier and Peter Cook. It's characterized by its organic, blob-like appearance and shape. This building contains the Bix Mediafacade 900 light rings that display low-resolution pictures. The Kunsthaus Graz is a landmark of Graz and shows the culture of innovation and advancement of technology in Austria. And As you may have seen in the previous slides, some of the usual materials you may see being used on these buildings that may have included iron, steel, and metal account usually for the frameworks to support the unconventional shapes of these buildings, while glass is frequently used to exhilarate the futuristic look of these buildings. Another prominent material used are plastics and polymers because of their advanced flexibility.
Bruh.
There are many similarities in different Blobitecture architectural buildings. For instance, their organic fluid shape is one that is very apparent and easy to observe. Many of these buildings have a weird shape that shows futuristic, organic, and abstract values and aesthetic. Design with advanced technology softwares is another one, as many of these buildings heavily rely on KA software. This allows for designers to have complex, non-linear designs that would be impossible with regular architectural techniques. Lack of symmetry is one, as well, as these buildings are meant to have a lack of symmetry unlike traditional buildings. This contributes to its futuristic look and aesthetic as well. Use of materials is also a shared value among these buildings, as the materials described in the last slide are very vital to the actual construction of these buildings. These materials give a sense of fluidity and modernity to these buildings. Deconstructivism influence is also a big one, because Blobitecture falls under this genre of design. It embraces the fragmentation and unpredictability of these buildings, giving them a more eye-catching look. Another similarity is their usual amount of stories they have. They usually have 5 to 15 stories of pure architectural magic. Overall, Blobitecture designs are meant to stand out, and because of these traits, Blobitecture is able to do that. This presentation was very interesting and fun to make, and Marshall and I both hope that you gain some knowledge of what Blobitecture architecture really is, because it's a very cool style that's very exclusive to itself. Blobitecture is all about the future, where creativity and technology come together to push the boundaries of our life we never knew was possible. May this information inspire you to research more about architecture and to build structures worthy of Autobot's admiration. Thanks for watching.